Imagine this for a moment. You open your social media app and start scrolling. Someone just posted their breakfast. Someone else uploaded vacation photos. Another person shared a motivational quote about success at 6 a.m. And then there's that one person on your friends list. You know the one. They almost never post anything. Weeks go by, sometimes months, maybe even years. Yet strangely, they're still there. They see your posts, they occasionally like something, maybe they disappear again. And it makes people wonder, are they shy, private, secretive, boring, or are they simply not interested? Here's the interesting part. In a world where people feel pressure to constantly share their lives online, the people who rarely post often have a completely different psychological relationship with attention, validation, and identity. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you realize something surprising. Silence online doesn't always mean someone has nothing to say. Sometimes it means their mind works differently. Let me show you what I mean. Think about how social media works for most people. It's a stage, a digital stage where everyone is performing tiny pieces of their life. You post something, and then your brain waits. Who liked it? Who commented? How many people saw it? Psychologists often describe this as a small reward loop. Every notification triggers a little burst of dopamine in the brain, the same neurotransmitter involved in motivation and pleasure. Your brain starts associating posting with social approval. So people post again and again. But here's where things get interesting. People who rarely post online often don't rely on that reward loop in the same way. Their brains may simply not chase external validation as strongly as others do. Instead of thinking, I should share this so people see it, they often think something closer to, I'll just enjoy this moment. Imagine two people standing at a beautiful sunset. One person immediately pulls out their phone. They want the perfect angle, the perfect lighting, maybe the perfect caption. The other person just watches the sky slowly change colors. Both people experienced the sunset, but psychologically, they experienced it in very different ways. For the first person, the moment becomes a story to share. For the second person, the moment stays personal. Now, this doesn't mean people who post frequently are shallow or attention-seeking. Not at all. Humans are social creatures. Sharing experiences is natural. But people who rarely post often have a stronger internal sense of identity. They don't feel the same need to document themselves for the world. Their life doesn't feel incomplete if nobody sees it. And interestingly, some research in personality psychology suggests that individuals who are more introspective or reflective tend to share less publicly online. Their thoughts go inward rather than outward. Instead of asking, what will people think about this post, their mind is asking deeper questions like, what does this experience mean to me? And that changes everything. Another fascinating trait you'll often see in people who rarely post is that they tend to observe more. Think about the difference between a performer and an audience member. The performer is busy being seen, but the audience is watching everything. People who post less often spend more time observing social dynamics online. They notice patterns. They notice how people present themselves. They notice the subtle ways people seek approval. In a strange way, their silence can make them more aware. It's similar to walking into a crowded room and choosing to stand quietly near the wall instead of talking loudly in the center. When you're not performing, you notice details others miss. Who's nervous? Who's confident? Who's pretending? Social media works the same way. Now, there's another layer to this psychology that's deeply human: privacy. For some people, their inner world feels sacred. Personal memories, emotions, struggles, and victories don't feel like content to publish. They feel like something to protect. Imagine someone who just achieved something meaningful. Maybe they finished a difficult project, overcame a personal struggle, or reached a goal they've worked toward for years. Some people immediately share it online. But someone who rarely posts might celebrate quietly. Maybe they tell a close friend. Maybe they sit alone and reflect. Their satisfaction comes from the achievement itself, not from the applause. And psychologically, this reflects something called intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation means you do things because they matter to you internally, not because others will praise you for them. People with stronger intrinsic motivation often feel less pressure to broadcast their lives. Another reason some people rarely post online is emotional safety. The internet can be unpredictable. Comments, opinions, criticism, misunderstandings, they all travel fast online. Some individuals are simply more aware of how exposed social media can make a person, so they choose distance. It's not necessarily fear, it's awareness. Think of it like living in a house with open windows versus closed curtains. Some people enjoy the openness. Others feel more comfortable controlling what the world can see. Neither approach is wrong. It's simply personality. And sometimes, people who rarely post online are actually the ones thinking most deeply about what they would share. They might start writing a post, then pause. Do I really want this online forever? That moment of reflection often stops them because they understand something many people forget. The internet remembers everything. Now here's a surprising twist. People who rarely post online are not necessarily less social. In fact, many of them invest more energy in real-life connections. Instead of broadcasting their life to hundreds of acquaintances, they may prefer deeper conversations with a few trusted people. Think about the difference between sending a group message and sitting across from someone at a table talking for hours. Both are communication, but one is broader while the other is deeper. Psychologists often describe this difference as breadth versus depth in social relationships. Some people naturally spread their social energy across many connections. Others focus on a smaller circle but build stronger emotional bonds. And for people in the second group, social media posting can feel unnecessary. Why announce something to everyone when the people who matter already know? Another interesting psychological factor is self-sufficiency. Some people simply don't feel the urge to prove their life is interesting. They don't feel the need to signal success, happiness, or excitement to others. Their confidence is quieter. Imagine someone reading a great book. They might love it deeply, but they don't immediately feel the need to post a picture of it, write a caption about it, and show everyone they're reading something meaningful. The experience stays between them and the book. It's a small example, but it reflects a larger mindset. Their life doesn't need constant witnesses. Now here's something important to understand. In modern culture, silence online is sometimes misinterpreted. People assume someone who rarely posts must be lonely, asocial, or disconnected. But often, the opposite is true. Many people who post less are simply choosing a slower, quieter relationship with the digital world. They still see what's happening. They still care about people. They're just not performing their life for an audience. And in a time when so much of our identity feels tied to what we share online, that kind of quiet independence can actually be a powerful form of self-awareness. Because when your sense of self isn't constantly shaped by likes, comments, and views, something interesting happens. Your identity becomes more stable. It comes from inside. And maybe that's the real psychology behind people who rarely post online. It's not that they don't have experiences worth sharing. It's not that their life is less interesting. Sometimes it's simply that they've learned something many people are still figuring out. Not every moment needs an audience. Some moments are richer when they remain yours alone. So the next time you notice someone who rarely posts online, instead of assuming they're active or distant, consider another possibility. They might just be living their life more privately, observing more, sharing less, and quietly experiencing the world without feeling the need to constantly show it. And honestly, in a world that never stops talking, there's something fascinating about the people who choose silence. Now, I'm curious about you. Are you someone who posts often, or do you prefer staying quiet online and observing everything? Let me know your thoughts. Sometimes the psychology behind our habits reveals more about us than we expect. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind everyday human behavior, make sure you stick around because there's always more happening inside the mind than we realize.